Greetings everyone. I wanted to do a video on the announcement from HSL. It's a little late. I think a lot of people already are kind of familiar with the news that they announced on February 8th that PC version of Blacklight Retribution is going to be shut down on March 11th. A lot of us are sort of already kind of like, a lot of the PC community sort of has anticipated this as being something was eventually going to happen. The game has been known for quite a long time as being a little outdated as far as graphics are concerned, as far as functionality and things like that. But for any of those that are kind of curious about seeing some of the content, you can open up a Steam account and sort of look at everything in the store, because what they have done right now is that everything in the store is free to use. There's certain things that are locked off, of course, that are like, stuff that they gave away to those particular people that earned it, but everything else in the store, stuff that has never been released, stuff that you've never seen. There's like these crazy like scarf things that you could put on that are like trophies, different colors, all the helmets, all the rare helmets and stuff. So, and especially the camos, the voice packs. There's so much. Anyways, if any of you are curious about that, you can go ahead and open up a Steam account and check that out. And you can also use backwards compatibility with the PlayStation 4 controller into, via a USB cord to your computer and stuff, and check that out. And you can actually play a little bit. My thoughts on it, it kind of was something that I sort of anticipated happening. There's just so much happening within the gaming community right now, and unfortunately it seems like a lot of the reason for this happening to PC is because of servers, and because the generational gap between the next console, unfortunately it seems like that sort of impacted it. A lot of you know that PlayStation Plus announced as of March, I think I remember it was like the end of March, somewhere around, I think it's like 6 or something like that, or 10th, that they're going to stop supporting PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita. That's something that everybody sort of anticipated too, because they're obviously PlayStation 3 retired a long time ago, and they stopped making consoles for PlayStation Vita here in the United States quite a while ago. But unfortunately, it seems like things like the PlayStation 5 coming into fruition is sort of something that impacts Blacklight Retribution PC. Not because it's directly related, but just because it seems like they either want to pull away from Blacklight Retribution altogether and make a totally new game, which is something they've been developing. For those of you not aware, I think there's 2 projects that HSL has been developing right now. There is that project. They don't want to say what they are, by the way, so we don't even know if they're a first-person shooter or what. But what I was going to say is that the PlayStation 5 it's pretty much I would say in a sense, killing off the PS4 version. I think that eventually, just so you know, you guys, that nothing's going to happen to PlayStation 4 version right now. It doesn't rely on servers, despite what a lot of people say. There's no servers for PlayStation 4. There is the PlayStation 4 servers that every single game and title operates off of. So there's that. Kind of like when system maintenance occurs on the PlayStation 4, everything's affected. You can't get into anything. You can't even play like certain games that require you to log in to being online. So it's just kind of like one of those things that are just kind of sucky about having modern day games nowadays. But back to the PC version of Blacklight Retribution, I think the thing that I mostly wanted to stress, just in my opinion, from what I can see from what happened to PC version of Blacklight Retribution, the biggest reason for them ending the game is server dedication and lack of player base. The combination of these two things to me kind of makes sense that this would be something that would impact any kind of interest in them revitalizing it. And then also the server costs for I was going to say under maybe 200 consistent players, it's just to them not worth it, to be honest. And I guess I should stress that, any game could be worth it depending, but you have to be able to convince the head company to say, I want to take man hours out of what project we're doing right now to put into this like almost 7 or 8 year old game. It just seems very unlikely that they had enough push on their end to do something like that. But like I was saying before, the server cost is just something that they couldn't see as being worth it. And then the PlayStation 4, just a lot of people, like I was saying, it's player to player. So somebody will host a PlayStation 4 game. The game is pretty much played through that person's console. The first person that starts on it is basically indicated as like 0 ping, because they are the host. And unfortunately, this seems to be something that they had in the old user interface for PC. And then at some point, parity came around and they removed that function and relied solely on servers for PC version. And that's the gist of it. That's basically how it went down. After a while, they maybe considered that they were going to turn that around, or that they were going to actually work more harder on the game, and they actually can, profit off of it more. And it just didn't turn out that way. By the time they acquired rights from Perfect World Entertainment to get BLR and purchase it, to me, my opinion of that is that basically it seems like they wanted to finish off Blacklight Retribution as far as, they couldn't close it, they couldn't do anything, they're sort of held into this thing, and so their only option in the end was to kind of starve it to death and make it not worth anything to Perfect World Entertainment. As far as the PC, I think it's only the PC version that they had. I don't think it had anything to do with PlayStation 4 as far as, the PC, ownership and stuff like that, and from what I'm understanding. So they bought that over, and it switched over from Arc over to Steam, back to Steam, because it originally was on Steam, and it just was an endeavor that didn't go anywhere. It was a bad sort of I guess business transaction to get with Perfect World Entertainment and put it over into them as the publisher and stuff. And so what ended up happening is that it's just like anything. You get a partnership with another company and they want to do certain things their way, and they're not going to listen to you because you're the developer, and they want you to sort of put the game in. They want to make money off of it. These guys, I don't, to their credit, HSL, it doesn't seem like, because HSL is also part of, some people, pretty much a lot of the staff was from Zombie Studios, minus quite a few. But anyways, they didn't want to go that route. They didn't want to turn it into like this cash cow. They wanted to make it a fun experience, and I think that they were just not being allowed to do and make the game the way they wanted it to. They didn't want to ruin the game, and the end result is sort of this, I guess, this game that's in between good and bad, where it doesn't get updates, but it's also very functional and fun, and it's not over the top. You know what I mean? So a lot of that kind of has a lot to do with why the game never sort of transitioned into something better, and why they could never do anything, and why it's sort of dying off, because Perfect World pretty much held on to it too long. And the end result is essentially what happens to every game. It becomes outdated, it becomes irrelevant. This game became too irrelevant before they decided to give the ownership rights completely back, and another portion of, I think it was Paradox, also bought part of Blacklight, or like 1/3 of it. So the game ending must mean that Paradox also agreed to go ahead and just sort of cut their losses, and I don't know. I guess I don't know if they recoup some money from that or what, but essentially the game became on PC. It became irrelevant. It became outdated. It became not a fan favorite because they hadn't done any updates, and people had sort of forgotten about it, aside from a few people that really appreciate this game. I've been told many times on the Discord, I've been reading that this is the only FPS some people play, so I don't know where they're going to go after this. As far as I understood from rumors and things that I heard, is the PS4 version pretty much was making a lot. It actually makes them some money, so for them not to get rid of it sort of makes sense to keep it around. I don't know if anybody still wants to put Zcoin into this game. That's up to you. I mean, the whole reason it's still around is because people were spending, so I'm not going to tell people not to spend, but pretty much the clock is ticking as far as PS5 taking over and PS4 sort of becoming less and less of a thing, and people not showing up on it because there's going to be other free-to-play games on PS5. I don't think that they're going to do a port to PS5 with Blacklight Retribution. I really don't see any of that stuff happening. I don't see them doing it. I kind of had thought that maybe they were going to do another Blacklight Retribution genre type first-person shooter. But from everything I can tell, just from reading it, it seems like that's just not going to happen. As far as an updated version of Blacklight Retribution on PS5 and on Steam, I just don't see them doing that. It seems like they want to get away from it. Now, I don't understand why they would purchase it and then just sort of dish it off. Why they would say, hey, here's the community editor, go ahead and input your settings and give us new values for these guns that got messed up, during parity. I don't understand what the purpose of that. I don't get it. The only thing I could think of is that there was a direction they were trying to go back in 2017, and that was to get back into the game. And I think that they truly had another project that was unrelated, and it just became more and more older, and they just had a harder time justifying it after they had purchased it. I think they absolutely had good intentions to do updates on this game, and they just sort of just ran out of time, and now it's 2 years old and they're looking to jump back into it. And I think that the owners just said, no, you know what, let's just scrap it. It's not worth it. The game would take too much time to overhaul. It's just not worth the time. But I don't know what they're going to do about their studio name, because the studio name is called Hardsuit Labs. I can only imagine that I think that the last day that they're going to stream PC version with all the PC players, they're going to do some kind of announcement. I don't know if they're going to announce on live stream and then post it on their Facebook or their Twitch, or not their Twitch, their the hell's that called, Discord and Reddit and all that crap. They're going to probably post something saying something about a new game, and it's probably going to be unrelated, and they might even probably, I would guess, announce their new studio name, because why would you name it still Hardsuit Labs? Because of PS4? That doesn't make sense to me. It seems like they would just want to depart from that entirely, or maybe they're going to wait till they retire PS4. I really can't tell, because right now it's just, to me, it's all over the place. I don't know why they had people do gun values and then just backtrack on that and then decide not to, but it's ownership. That is basically what it comes down to a lot of times. The developers and these people don't have a lot of say when the ownership say, we want to just close the game off and get, they want to just finish it off and move on to the next things, because it's just eating up money, basically. And I just want to stress something too. My saying that they're going to announce something during the live stream on the last day of PCB Lore, that's just my speculation. I would hope that they would give some of the players something to hold on to as far as the new game that they're coming out with. I would think that would be the best time to tell everybody that bothered to tune in and follow them and say their last send-off goodbyes to Blacklight Retribution on PC, that hey, we got something else coming in, because to be honest, they have pissed off quite a few PC players. There are a lot of people that are on the fence as to whether they did things right, whether they should have done things differently. Of course, their hands were tied a lot of times, in my opinion, but there's still nevertheless those people that put money into this holiday event, and now they're closing the game. So there's a lot of people, and there's a lot of reason for people to be upset. A lot of people say that they promised a lot of things. I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think that they said some things were going to happen, but like everybody knows, it's a very, very old game. It's nearly like a decade if you count from the time it originally started. I think it was like 2009. It is very, very, very old. But I would hope that they would give people some kind of hope. This whole secrecy thing, I would guess that the reason that Blacklight Retribution and PC shutting down is not only attributed to server costs, but because they have this new game ready. It's been since 2017 that I think it was 2017 they announced that they were going to do something with the game, and then I think in 2018 they started working on it. I can't remember. The timelines are kind of like fuzzy in my head anyway, but I would hope that they would try to have something prepared for PC players on the last send-off and the last goodbye, either during the live stream or immediately after the live stream, a big announcement, and maybe for them to tune in on a certain date or something like that, something to that effect. But I mean, it was something that I got into toward the end, because to me, in my honest opinion, I really didn't see PC going away. I even put $10 into the GP duplicator I spent on some camos, and I thought, to my interpretation, I thought PS4 was going to be the version that was going to be going away, and I was already sort of transitioning over into PC. So I spent money. I have not spent money on Blacklight Retribution PS4 for I can't even remember. I'm thinking like 2016 was the last time I actually put money into this game because I was not confident in their development and their sort of plans. They were not doing anything with it. We saw nothing of it. I wasn't going to get money into something and have it go to waste. And here I actually spent money on PC version, and now it's going to die. So it's just kind of like one of those things where you don't know. It's all kind of just hindsight. But anyways, I would hope that they would do something for PC players. We're not going to really know anything. I think that the PS4 money that they made off PS4, to me, I really think that the only reason PC stayed around this long is because the income and the money they made off of that game on PS4 kind of carried PC. I would imagine that PS4 paid for server cost. I mean, I would go that far because I don't think these PC players were putting a lot of money into this game because, to be honest, they bought almost everything and they never advertised for any new content. So how can you support the game if they're not putting stuff out? So I think a lot of it was carried, to be honest, in my opinion, by PS4 players. Now, whether that's something you think is not right, whatever. I don't think it really matters. I think it's a good thing that they did it, to be quite honest. If you could find any other company that's going to keep a game around for all the players, I dare you to find any company that'll do that. So I think they went through great lengths to kind of accommodate everyone. And it's just sad that it came to this point. I don't really have anything else to say other than just, I wish all the PC players well. I think some of the players are going to start doing playing the older version. It's like a sequel to Blacklight Retribution. It's called Blacklight Tango Down. I don't remember if it's a sequel or prequel. Anyways, it's another game that came prior to that. I just don't know if event-wise in the game does it come after Blacklight Retribution. I don't know that part. But there are some players that are starting Blacklight Tango Down. I'm probably going to do some loadout configuration for people on PS4 that maybe want to try it out. And of course, PC, there isn't much to it other than you can, if you have a Steam account, you could just download from a link. Maybe I'll post the links in the description below if anybody's interested in doing that. It is not owned by HSL. It's not updated any longer. I think it's owned by Ignition, I think is what somebody said. But it has the Blacklight Retribution feel. The scopes sort of look the same. It is very much a little bit rusty as far as the way it looks. It's a very... if you thought the graphics were bad for Blacklight Retribution, you're not going to be too pleased with Tango Down. But it is going to be something fun that hopefully a lot of people get into after the end date for PC. If people that still want that feel for Blacklight, that's pretty much going to be the only option. One last thing I'll say as I end the video is that people were wondering, well, can we do our own dedicated servers? Can we do this? And you basically, from what I've learned and heard from HSL, is that they're saying that there isn't going to be any private server capabilities because there's too much third-party stuff on the servers that they have now. After parity, I think it was before parity, that was a possibility, but after parity, they made it different. They compiled the servers differently, and they didn't want that private server option anymore. They even took out the player-to-player, the P2P option. So there's too much third-party content on there. They say they can't authorize it, so it's pretty much going to die after this date. There is no reverse engineering or somebody's going to bring it back from the dead or anything like that. I don't see that happening from what I'm told. So anyways, just comment below, and if hopefully this helped out some people, maybe you could find some other venues and some other routes to play the game still, which is getting the Blacklight Tango Down, and enjoy the last few days before the end date. So before I forget, also I want to stress that they also have announced that they will not make the game open source, so that if there was people they were planning on asking them about that it's not going to happen. And the reason I titled this Is It the End of PlayStation 4? I more or less meant that in a sense that this game is going to continue to play on the PlayStation 4. Their announcement on February 8th in regards to PC was also related to PS4 in a sense that They announced no plans for updates for PC and PS4. They included them both together. Whether they do holiday merchandise in the store, that's entirely at their discretion, and whether they decide to do it. I think that they have decided to do the last couple holidays events because the potential to shut down both games was pretty much going to happen, in my opinion. So on that note, I'll just leave it at that. Anybody that wants to spend money on this game and continue spending, that's entirely up to you. That's your money. Have fun with it and just enjoy PS4 for as long as it lasts. Like I said, no further updates for the console version from what they said. So anyways, thanks for listening, you guys, and good luck with PC players.